What is going on, everybody? My name is Anthony, and we are with Christopher Harp here. It was a very special guest for me because if you guys didn't know, when I started selling on Amazon, I bought his course, right? So if it wasn't for this man right here, I wouldn't be where I am today. At least I don't think so. So I'm so happy to introduce and be able to interview him on our second episode of FBA Unboxed. Chris, how you doing?
What's up, my man? I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. It's my pleasure. Seriously, like I said, I can't say it enough, right? If it wasn't for you and your business partner and girlfriend Sasha, like helping me through the beginning, I don't think I would be as big as I am now today. So really, thank you so much. And let's just jump right into things, right? People's attention span are out the window these days, so we got to jump in. You started selling around 3 years ago, right? Give or take?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Man, I want to know and I want to know the whole journey, but I want to know right now, what's something you would tell yourself, right, when you restarted? Like, let's say you were at day one, and in your position that you were in, right? What would you do different?
Different. To be honest, there's not much I do different. What I would tell myself is like, you got this, basically, like believe in yourself and just commit. Just stay committed. That's the thing. Actually, yeah, just stay committed. Because for me, during the past 2 years, like the first year and a half, I was on it like obsessed, obsessed. And then some personal stuff started happening, and then I kind of lost a bit of focus when it comes to Amazon. So yeah, just stay the course because it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really, really hard for you to start this business, but it's all gonna be worth it down the road because of the lifestyle that it allows for.
Yeah, man, I love that. And that's what I tell basically everyone who comes across my desk, whether it's students or people I just help consult, is you got to do it at least a year, like minimum. If you're even going to think
Exactly.
about like hesitating, like, should I? It's like, if you don't have 1 year's worth of energy, it's not even worth it. And I think most people who don't go past 1 year will obviously fail. Obviously, they don't go past a year, but
Yeah.
you'll have the success rate of, like, if you do it 1 year, I'm sure it's incredibly high and surprising for a lot of people. And if nobody really knows Chris, I doubt it, because I think you and your business partner have a staple in the Amazon community, certainly Canada's Amazon community. But you are, correct me if I'm wrong, on the road to, I don't think you've hit it yet, but you're on the road to 7 figures in a 12-month span, right?
In a 12-month span, yeah, I haven't hit that yet. I've hit 7 figures since I've started over the span of 3 years, but no, not in a 12-month span. That should hopefully be happening soon. But
An
yeah,
incredible achievement, right? It's not
yeah,
something easy. Like, certainly when it comes to Amazon Canada, I think there's extremely few people that have, certainly on social media, that have the glory to say that they could hit it. So that in itself, you being even close, is something
yeah.
very, very valuable. And like, was there something, like, for me, I know what it is, but I'm gonna hold off. Was there something that really clicked in your journey, right, in the past 3 years, that you went, okay, like, this is like exactly what I got to do, and it's the same recipe from now on to where I got to be to hit 7 figures?
I think it's like when I started to see how much money you actually need to spend to get a certain return on your investment, to get a certain return of sales. I started noticing that it's almost like if you spend 20K, for example, then you'd make about double that in sales. So it'd be like 40 to 50K
Yeah,
in sales. So once I like that started clicking a bit in my head, I was like, okay, now I don't need to look at how much sales I need to make. I just need to look at how much inventory I have to put money into. So when that happened, it was just more easy and straightforward to look at it in terms of, okay, it's not about what do I need or how do I get these sales. It's about what do I need to do to get this number of sales. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's like the trying to find inventory, and I again, same thing. I love that what you're saying. I say that to most people because a lot of times people will be like, yeah, I want to make $2,000 profit. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's take a couple steps back
Yeah.
here. Like, we
That's what
got
I'm saying. Yeah.
expenses, like, we got, how are we gonna get there? And that's always fun because you're able to, obviously, it's not always perfect, right? It's not what you spend, you're gonna sell double the next month, but that's our goal, right? Our goal is, if we spend 20K, let's try to get 40K in sales in the month following.
Yeah.
But we can do some like projecting and be like, okay, like if I want to be like super safe, it's like if I spend 20K, I gotta make 30. So then if I make 30 and say 30K in sales, what's our margins looking like? We can do some reverse analysis on that and get to our number. And
Yeah.
what you find often is people are like, oh, it actually takes a lot of inventory to get
Yeah.
profit that you want.
Exactly.
And like I think it's building that up, and that's why like it takes a full year, in my opinion, to really start understanding. Is because you can grasp that pretty early, but getting your hands on the money it takes, like there's two routes you can take. You can obviously take the route of over leveraging yourself and taking on an incredible amount of debt,
Yeah.
or slowly but surely building something that now, like I think once you hit that 10 to 15K of money of spend, I think you start getting comfortable and the game starts getting fun, because it's not
Hmm.
necessarily, and you know too, it's not full-time income, but you can start making like, okay, $1,000 to $3,000 a month, and you're like, oh wow, like this could really lead somewhere. And
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that like that's what's incredible, and that's what you guys almost did for me. And you guys just were a kind of a north star of like, okay, these guys did it. Like I've hustled all my life, I know I can get there, I just got to keep on grinding. And the
Yeah.
fact that I knew that there was someone there, and honestly that's what I hope to do for others. And then in a way, like I'm inspired by you guys in the sense where if someone could see me as like I saw you guys of like, hey, this guy's a Canadian seller and he's doing this full time. Yes, disclaimer, I have other businesses. I make more than money just from Amazon, but I'm able to be successful from Amazon. Like I can do it too, right? And that's, I think, the ultimate goal for someone with a following. And
Yeah, for
again,
sure. I think we
not to
all.
beat the dead horse, I thank you again for that.
No, I
Um,
appreciate that. I respect you for saying that. And yeah, I think we all have our sort of, like you said, North Stars. So I think you need that almost when you start. You need to know that it's possible, because once you start seeing the results and you start seeing, okay, I just made my first sale. Now it's like, okay, how did this guy make 10K in sales? How did he make 100K in sales?
yeah,
And yeah, so you just need to know that it's doable, especially in Canada. We don't have that many, like as many sellers or popular sellers as in the US. So you're like, is it even possible in Canada to hit these numbers? But then
yes.
you start seeing these sellers hit the numbers and you're like, okay, it's doable. What am I not doing correctly? Or like, how can I get to that level in Canada? Because for me, I've always wanted to focus on Canada. I said from the start, I
Easier
wanted to build,
logistically.
yeah, logistically, and just like it's very overlooked as a market in general. I think a lot of people, because we're so close to the US, they want to immediately jump into the US market because
Yeah.
we know what the US market can provide. Whereas I've always said from the start, like I really want to build one of the biggest Amazon businesses in Canada, specifically, just because it's so easy compared to like other markets. It's really, really
Especially when
easy,
you
I
have a
find.
decent review count, right? And again,
Exactly.
the longer you do this, right, like the more review counts you get, and the easier it is to own a share of the buy box, and it just goes forward. So it goes back to our main messaging of like keep on just grinding, and you'll find your way. And yeah, man, Amazon Canada. I was one of those people that was debating at the beginning, even knowing your success of like, hey, should I go into the U.S. market? And when I did private label years ago, that's what I did. I tried in the U.S. market, but the
Me too.
Canadian market is very, very, very underrated because like oftentimes you can find decent listings that you'll get like nothing crazy, 10, 20 sales a month, but you're like the only seller on it and you have complete control of
Exactly.
price. Whereas I
Exactly.
think that's very rare in the US market. So
Yeah.
I alluded to it, right? Early on, you have a business partner and you guys have created this machine of a big, big
Hmm.
store with you and your girlfriend, Sasha. I want to know, because I'm very curious, how is it run like with two A players, right? You guys are both people that have your own personal brands. You guys are both people that once had your own bit, like both had Amazon stores
Yeah.
separated, and then
Yeah.
you guys merged to create this like huge machine. I want to know, how does that workflow look like? Like, do you guys separate tasks? Talk me through it.
Mm. So me and Sasha, yeah, for the first year and a half, 2 years, we had our own Amazon stores. I was running my store. She was running her store. I was running my coaching program, my course. She was running her coaching program and her course. Um, and then once these sort of personal things started to happen in my life where I was kind of losing track of or losing focus on my business, I needed help to keep it going. And Sasha, like we're in a very fortunate position where my girlfriend does Amazon as well. So it's like very easy. Like you, I know you have a VA that does your purchasing for you. I
Yeah.
always had a hard time finding someone to do the purchases for me, just because, yeah, like in my head, I was like, how am I going to trust someone else to
Yeah.
make those purchases? But then I have Sasha, so it's like someone that I see every day, someone that I know, that I trust, and so basically, we decided that her coaching business was she was much better at that than I was, and I was much better. Well, not much better, but I was better at the
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazon thing
You
that she
started,
was.
right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I also had more capital invested in it than she did. So we just thought it would make sense to partner in. So basically, she would come and bring her products into my store. And now we're basically partners on that account. And the same with the coaching. Although now for coaching, we haven't done like, well, I haven't done coaching in a long time, because, like I said, I just wasn't really paying attention to Amazon like that anymore. I had gotten to a point where it was making money automatically. And especially with Sasha being there, she was doing the purchasing for me. So I literally had nothing to do and the money was still coming in. So it's like I got super comfortable, but also because of like other things that were happening in my life, like my focus just wasn't there. So I found the best solution for me at the time, which was basically I have one VA, and Sasha. They were holding my store down while I was sort of away on this past like year and a half. And yeah, now that I'm back though, now that I'm back working, um, the tasks are like it's I don't know how, like we split them however I need them to be split. Like whatever I need from Sasha, she does. Especially now that I'm moving into wholesale, she's been doing online arbitrage, so keeping the OA side of the business going. And I've been looking into wholesale this whole summer and like really focusing on wholesale. So Sasha has allowed me to put my time and energy into other things while running the store. And yeah, so now all that's merged is the Amazon business and the course. We merged like our video courses together. But the coaching, yeah, I don't even know about the coaching anymore because for right now, I'm not coaching anyone. I'm not really interested in that right now. I just want to regrow my business um, to a better place because I had run it to a place where I thought like I was happy with, and then Sasha was maintaining that. So I just, I was like happy with it and comfortable. But now I really like I'm seeing things and I really want to take it to another level.
yeah,
Um,
certainly with
so
wholesale,
yeah,
man. And before we, because I 100% want to ask you questions on that transition, but I wanted to hit on, like, I think like it's normal. Certainly when you start getting things automated, and as you alluded to, like I do it the VA route, right? I don't have a partner that I can
yeah,
trust, and I was lucky enough to, before I started Amazon, have like that managerial role. So like I kind of knew how to hire and do it efficiently
mhm,
and post trust, but I too sometimes now, like my Amazon is just completely automated. Like from
exactly.
like I have products that come in every single day. I put them on a buy sheet, they get bought, and they got all the admin is all done. So it's like,
Mhm,
what is there for me to do? Like other than
exactly.
approve, right? I
Yeah,
approve. I say yes, I want to buy this. No, I don't, or this is how many I want to buy, etc. But it's very easy to get comfortable, and this is kind of why I started a podcast. Then I started coaching. I did
yeah,
these
exactly. Yeah,
things. I was like, man, I feel like, yes, can I do more sourcing myself? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I want big things, right? I want to be able to run a company, and I want to take myself out of it and be able to be like, hey, this can run
yeah,
almost on its own. And I completely understand. I go through moments sometimes too where I'm like, man, like I gotta make sure that I'm
yeah. You
monitoring this,
have to.
because it gets so passive to a point where it's easy to go, oh, not today, not today, and then next thing you know, you're like, shit, I haven't really paid attention for a couple months now.
Exactly.
And
Yeah. It's like I was getting bored with certain things because it just got repetitive at some point. So yeah, you just need to keep your head down and like keep going and find ways to keep going. And for me, that was like looking into wholesale because OA, I felt like I just understood it. Like I knew what to do. I can
no
tell
challenge.
you yeah, it's like the challenge was a bit gone with that. So I just needed a new challenge. And it took me a while to get into wholesale. But this summer it just clicked with one of my friends. Like we just started really looking into it like very deeply. And yeah, so now making that transition, but I'll never make a full transition. Like I want to do both
Well, yeah,
OA
OA
and
has
wholesale.
a fantastic opportunity, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and I completely understand because it's a new challenge, and it kind of goes to show, like, and they say money doesn't buy happiness, and to a certain extent, but it's more about like the fulfillment because
Yeah,
we make
exactly.
money, and the lifestyle that brings with Amazon is you're able to do anything, and then when you have your whole day ahead of you, and you're like, I can do anything I want, or I can do this repeated
Yeah,
mundane task.
exactly.
You're gonna pick the other things, and then you start having that war in your head of like, man, I'm not paying attention enough to my business.
Yeah.
But like, anyways, we're not gonna go through too much down that path. But I can totally understand you, and I'm happy you're back. And I think wholesale perfect transition here. Like, so what's that evolution, right? Of like you went through like online arbitrage. Now Sasha is hunkering that down. You spent all summer. What you now have like a database of suppliers, or have you already started reaching out? I saw recently you went to a play where toys like a
Yeah, yeah.
distributor like fun, not a fundraiser, but like a
Like an
show, right? Like
exhibit.
ASD.
Yeah, yeah.
So how was that? How is the transition so far?
So the transition has been challenging, which again is what I needed. Like I needed to do something a bit new, but still with Amazon. Um, it's been really good. I've had again my friend help with that. So basically, with wholesale, you never really want to tell suppliers that you sell on Amazon. They don't really like, not a lot of them will work with you if you tell them that right away. So you just have to find ways to maneuver around that, and that's what we've been working on this summer. Is like, how do we get around that initial sort of refusal? That's the main refusal
Yeah.
that you'll be getting from suppliers or distributors, is if you tell them, hey, I'm an Amazon seller, I'd like to work with you, most of them are going to say no. So it's just finding ways around that we've been spending our time on. And OA has helped me with wholesale. I wouldn't have started with wholesale directly, because the way I made my list of suppliers is by, after 3 years of like doing OA, I had so much products, so much brands, so many brands that I've sold. So I just went through all of my Seller Central inventory by brands and by categories, just to put them all in an Excel sheet. And then once, now I have that massive Excel sheet with all the brands I've ever sold in on Amazon. And I basically just started emailing them, calling them, and opening accounts. And now I'm much more comfortable doing that. It felt like scarier in my head before I started, because it's a bit more official. Like wholesale, you have to like present yourself in a certain way that's a bit more professional than OA. So that was a bit scary for me, because I've never really been like professional in that sense. Like I don't like corporate things. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah, no,
to do
yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
It's so yeah. Well, wholesale is a lot more corporate, right? It's like
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, you're not necessarily an employee in that structure, but the etiquette is kind of still there, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're reaching out to brands, so you want to appear as professional as possible, whether that be through, having your own so at whatever your
Yeah,
thing is.com, even
domain, right?
several emails like accounts payable, that's at something,
Yeah,
um, like, yeah, just my name at that thing, and just seeming a bit more professional, as if like you're part of an entity that wants to work with another entity. Whereas that, like, we know it's like there's no entity behind me, it's just me
yeah.
and like Sasha, and that's
But
it.
it's the
So
appearance, right? You want to
it's the
appear
appearance.
something a little bit more professional than you are, because at
Yeah,
the end of the day, we're people, we're flippers who have created a business around themselves, and why not be able to take advantage of that? And at the end of the day, everybody wins, so why
exactly.
not? Have you started selling any of these products? I know you had like a little relationship with a wholesaler
Yeah,
beforehand,
yeah.
and I know those products were very successful. But since you started, have you acquired a new like ASIN that has been really performing for you?
Yeah, for sure. So since I started wholesale, technically it was like a year and a half ago, maybe, when I found that product. So I found that product, I was selling it through OA, it was doing very well. And then I just thought, okay, let me reach out to the company, see if I can buy buy from them directly. And I did, and it was the easiest thing ever. I was a bit lucky in that sense, because they didn't ask for
Yeah,
anything. Like, I don't even
no
think they
tax
asked me
numbers.
for, basically, just maybe just tax numbers, but that's pretty much it. And yeah, it wasn't professional at all. Like I was saying, I just emailed them from my Gmail, and it just worked out. And then after a year spending time with that product, of just like seeing how easy it was to not only get sales with that product, but also to restock it. I would basically, like I said, I wasn't really working for the past year and a half. Sasha was buying OA products almost every day, whereas me, I'd come in like once every 2-3 months, just place a massive order of that product with that wholesaler and leave again for another 2-3 months. And that was still the best product we had in my store. So um, like realizing that, like, okay, if I have one product like this, if I can just find 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 10, not even 10, like 7, 8 products like that, then that's just perfect. Like I can literally, yeah, base
Yeah, that's the
my,
beauty of wholesale. Yeah.
yeah. So
I've been
just
I've
base
been
my,
slowly transitioning too. I haven't. I'm still going through a couple logistics issues with the government, but I took Corey Gannam's course. I think wholesale is an incredible level up. Like, yeah, you can definitely start in wholesale, but I think you are at a disadvantage because, one, like you said, you don't have as much data in terms of like all the products that sell already well and all the brands
yeah,
that sell already well on Amazon. But two, you also don't know Amazon that well, and OA is a fantastic way to start learning
exactly.
Amazon as a whole, right? Like we both did, right? We both did PL at the beginning, private label. That was a little bit like, in a way, a lesson, because at least I was able to learn Amazon, but I was like, okay,
Yeah,
failed. But when I came back to OA, I was like, I already know this game, right? Like, already knowing Amazon gives you at the beginning that, like, already that's another hurdle that you don't need to go on to, right? There's so many things at the beginning, and like as a coach, I see this when new students come in. It's like there's so much. So it's like, if you're gonna try to tackle like wholesale right away, like, good
yeah,
luck. Like, it's not easy. Like, you gotta understand Keepa, right? Because your mistakes in wholesale are gonna be
yeah,
significantly worse
super
than your
costly.
mistakes in
Yeah,
OA.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whereas
uh,
OA, like, I always tell people, like, either A, like, okay, you take a little loss on a product, which is nothing at the end of the day. Like, you'll lose $2 on a $30 product. Like, okay, negative ROI. Thank you.
mhm.
Give me my money back. I'm gonna spend more. Like, whereas wholesale, well, you can make a $15,000-$20,000 mistake. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna take this back just a little bit, back to
Mhm.
like the start. I want to know, right?
Yeah,
What, when you bought that Toronto Raptors basketball, what was going through your mind? You made that first purchase, man. Like,
yeah.
that must have
So
been stressful. Like, because you didn't have a coach, did you?
no, I didn't have a
Or
coach.
yeah. So yeah, you did a bunch of research, but like, still, what goes through your mind at that moment where you have nobody that really told you like, hey, this is gonna work? You're just
Yeah,
going with your freestyling.
I think looking back, I had sort of lost my head a bit at the beginning of those like COVID period. Like, if I'm looking back, I'm like, now that I think of it, how I started, I just wonder if I'd be able to do it again, because I literally became obsessed with this thing that is Amazon. I had tried private label and failed with my friend, so I knew not what to do. I knew what not to do this time in terms of like we went into the private label thing blind. Basically, we didn't learn marketing. We didn't learn anything. We just like saw these videos and jumped on the hype train. So this time I knew like, okay, I'm gonna study everything. And I've said this before, I studied this so much, like so much in depth, like super in depth, everything. Like I knew what to do with OA, I knew what products to pick, I understood Keepa without even ever trying it. That's how much like I have in my YouTube like saved list over 100 videos that I watched, took notes of, and so I knew exactly what was going to happen when I started. That's how confident I was in like the research that I had done, because it was like not just like typical research of like, oh, here, like once a day, or like I spent like a month just fully like training OA and like learning what to do, what's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. um and yeah, once I bought that product, the basketball, it's just like I knew what was going to happen. I
Confidence.
so
You were
yeah,
confident.
super confident, because I knew everything in my mind. Whereas with private label, I had no idea what was happening. So
Yeah.
obviously there was no confidence in that. But yeah, so just the amount of research I had done gave me all the confidence I needed to not even have to worry about it. And literally the first day it got active, it sold. So it then I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
And
well, once that first sale hits, you're like, because
yeah.
I went through a similar and like less, obviously, I didn't do as much. I did a lot of research, but I started it relatively quick because I was like, I heard about
Mm,
it. I saw your course, I bought it, and then I was like, let's do it. Right.
yeah.
But it was the whole time, it was like, okay, I get it. I think this will work. But until you get that first sale,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're still, but once you, I remember my first sale, I got it and I was like, it's over.
Yeah,
GG.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
sold
like,
$100 item, and I was like, it's done.
yeah.
I made it. But what I really liked what you were saying, like that obsession, right? And I think that anybody who is truly obsessed with a with something that will make you money and truly love it, it's almost impossible not to succeed. But
Yeah, yeah.
the negative thing about it is that obsession almost never lasts.
Mhm.
I'm an obsessive person. I obsess over a lot of things. Right now, it is jujitsu. I will go 6 times a week and I will go all out. But with everything, I find that you get obsessed, and then eventually, so it might be a year and a half later, you start getting comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And comfortable in the sense where it's like it's not the same feeling anymore inside you. And I think that's the real challenge in the long term of this business is continuously innovating and finding a bigger purpose so that
Yeah.
you can keep having fun in doing it. Because I think like we were saying, it's very easy to fall into a pattern and just not end up growing. So you were saying, right, that now that you're back to work, happy to hear that. You see big things. If you had a crystal ball, all right, next year in September, what numbers are you doing? Obviously, there's no way to know it, but what would be your goal in a
I
given
was
month?
actually,
Say?
yeah, when I was like fully focused on Amazon, I was very good at calling what I would do a certain month and it would happen. So because I knew what was happening and I was on it every single day for like 10 hours a day. So like I knew exactly what was happening. For now, I'm getting back into it. It's a bit of a bad timing because I'm literally going on a trip for a month. So I'll be out of the country for a month.
You can work
Like
out of them.
I know for sure. I'm definitely gonna work because I don't want like what I just did to stop now. Like I really found the love for it again. Like being like well, my office is my room, but like at my desk and like working on Amazon. So I really found the love for it again. And so for I was saying like my first goal is I still haven't done 100K a month, so that's gonna happen like shortly. And then for next September, I don't know. Yeah. Um, if I can, I want my goal is not like to have something by next September. It's just like to be able to have 100K months be my
Consistent.
minimum. Like my initial goal when I started Amazon was 30K months minimum because I thought like I heard from a lot of sellers that 30K is like what you needed to basically have a full-time income and quit your job. So once I did the 30K, I got a bit comfortable because I didn't set another objective. But now I have an objective of like, okay, I think my biggest month was like 70K, which is very good. But it was a one-time thing. It never happened since. And yeah, I was like, I can't hit a 70K month and then never have that happen again. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, now it's just like I want 100K to be the minimum that even if I do need another year off, that it's going to maintain that level, not the level of like 30, 40K. It's going
Yeah.
to
Well,
maintain the level of
100K a month is very solid, right? In terms of
yeah,
income producing,
yeah,
like no matter your margins, even if they're not the best, you're still making very, very good money at 100K a month.
hmm,
And it's no joke to get that. Certainly in Amazon Canada, you need to go really, really wide. Unless you find a really good wholesale product that sells a lot of
yeah,
volume, you generally need to go very, very wide.
yeah,
And that's the ultimate goal for me too. I'm not necessarily near there, but that's somewhere I want to go. But it's about making those like baby goals, right? Like for
yeah,
me
yeah.
at first, and I don't know if you remember, but it was like, okay, let me get a sale every single day. And then it was like,
Oh,
okay,
for
now I'm
sure,
getting a sale
exactly.
every day. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, let me get $100 every day. And then you're getting $100 every day. And because like for me now, like I had one of my best winter products, went out of stock, can't find it anywhere anymore, right? So, and that was making me like easily make a grand a
yeah,
day for like a given span of like 2 months. So I
damn,
was like,
yeah,
now if I don't get $1,000 sales in a day, like I don't check my seller sales anymore that much. I'll check
yeah.
it
Me
once to
neither.
check out how much going on. But like in general, I don't get excited if I don't see 1 grand. And it's like I try to remember back in the day and be like, man, all I wanted was $100 in a day. And I
Yeah,
coach my
yeah,
brother. And like he's like, oh, I made $1,000 like in half the month, and I was like, yeah, time to 10x that. But I was like, hey man, let me enjoy, like let him enjoy this moment because it's a big deal. Your first 1,000, your first like all these things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's we take things for granted, I think, as experienced Amazon sellers.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so would you? I know I asked you right at the beginning, like what would you tell yourself at the beginning? What's something you would do? Is there something you would tell new sellers starting in OA not to do? Right.
Mm.
So yeah, we said you got to stay patient and everything that's along with that. But what about maybe? And maybe there's not an answer, but you'll see. Like I see a lot of common people. People do this common practice that I don't necessarily agree with.
I think people not knowing how to properly use Keepa, like you're shooting yourself in the foot immediately. If you're making purchasing decisions without Keepa, yeah, I don't even know what you're doing. And then also not tracking your purchases. I see a lot of people having issues with tracking their purchases. Um, like one thing I'm OCD about is organizing everything that has to do with either expenses or tracking purchases or everything like that. It's all in a sheet that I can easily look at, see how much money I've spent, see how much taxes I've paid, see where I bought products from, uh, click the name of it, and it takes me to the Amazon link. So all the order numbers. Don't delete your emails. You're gonna need your emails for the receipts. So yeah, things like that, like just keeping track of your purchases and following your inventory as well, knowing where they are, especially if you're using prep centers. A lot of things can get lost in translation. So yeah, just making sure you know where everything is and staying on top of your inventory that way.
Yeah, amazing. Were you always organized?
Yeah, from the start. Yeah, like I said, I'm a bit OCD about things like that. It's like I like to have things perfect in a way, like my Excel sheet. If the date isn't formatted the same in two rows,
Yeah.
like yeah, so I'm that guy, and so it's very easy for me to organize things. That's one of the things I was like supposed to help Sasha with in her coaching business was keeping track of her uh, sales, expenses, all of that, and put them in a nice organized place so that when she files her taxes at the end of the year, it's super easy to do. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
part
much
of your
it.
course, you were giving back in the day, you were giving like an Excel sheet, basically what like everything, and
Yeah.
that you kind of helped me. Like I don't use that same sheet. I've developed my own that I
Mhm.
like to use. Everybody will end up using their
Yeah,
own
for
way,
sure.
but like that's something that I kind of learned, not necessarily as a direct lesson, because like it wasn't like a huge focus, but it was something that you gave, and it kind of like went in my head. I'm like, oh man, like I really need to make this right. And now that's like new students coming across my desk. I introduce them to like my sheets, and I'm like, listen, when
Yeah.
and not only for like yes, organizational purposes, you always have your order number, you can easily find your invoices, etc. But that also becomes a database of like every single
Yeah,
product you
exactly.
ever found and where you found it for how much. And if you put notes, if the more you're organized, the more you OCD, the better your database is, and that will only help you, right? Like, hey,
Exactly.
what did I buy last year? This for with this winter time? Like, is there any seasonal products? Well, I can easily go check that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, you mentioned Keepa, right? Like, obviously, Keepa is number one. Like, without Keepa, we have uninformed decisions, and
Yeah.
obviously, Keepa is only estimates, but it's the best way to be the most comfortable with your personal decisions. But let's say Keepa is out of there, okay? I want to know if you could only have one software out of all of them to match with Keepa, what is it
Mm,
today? Not when you started, because I know like the software line changed.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like TA, I said that's what I started with. I was still using it up to very recently. So I think now we use Seller Amp. I was going through a wholesaler's website with Seller Amp. I I did their whole website manually. It took me a couple of hours, but I did it with Seller Amp, and it was so easy. I was just like copying the title, pasting it in Seller Amp, and it would like immediately find it on Amazon. So I think like if you're trying to cheap it out and start efficiently, if you can just learn Keepa and SellerAmp, then you should be good to go. And then just seller board as well, like I said, for expenses, keeping track of your profits and all of that. And bro, if you think about it, like those three, which are pretty much the most important ones, are $60 altogether a month.
Yeah,
Um, so it's like what other business could you run for $60 a month? Um, like it's just so cheap to
Or that's
start.
what we're blessed with, right? And then you like obviously those are minimums. Then you add in like a repricer that's like another
Yeah,
25
another
bucks,
20. Yeah,
and then Amazon subscription. Like in reality, 120 bucks a month, you're literally
yeah,
for up until 100 grand a month, like you are good.
yeah. You're
That's
sailing.
the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's easy. Yeah,
For me, it's definitely Seller Board. Like obviously, Seller Amp is a fantastic Swiss Army knife and does that 1 and 2 tandem could be great. It's just I love Seller Board so much, and the way
Mhm.
I kind of look at it in a point of view of Keepa is the estimated data, and I use that for all new products coming in, and,
Yeah,
and but it only gives me so much comfort. Seller Board
yeah,
is real data.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that
That's
is
like,
that is my
yeah,
data. Like how much do I sell a month? How much profit do I make after fees? And
yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
I love like and I had one student doing shoes, like an American seller, and he did not have seller board, right? He used inventory labs like all the US
Yeah,
most
yeah,
people do it. And I was like, man, I'm telling you, like for the price you're gonna pay for seller board, it's very worth it. Like you're gonna know how profitable you really are. He didn't know how profitable he was. And then, like he goes to me, he goes, yeah, man, like I'm really not as profitable that I thought I was after returns and everything
exactly.
like that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
that's the beauty of Seller Board is because you know your numbers. And yeah, like there's some people out there are gonna say the numbers are not 100%, even if they're 80%. At least you know
yeah. Like you
somewhat
have an
of what it
estimate of
is.
your business and what's happening. You have something to give to your accountant at the end of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that's good to know that we're on the same page with that. For new sellers, really, guys, it's Keepa. That's a must. Seller Amp is fantastic. Seller Board, a repricer, and that's all you really need. After that, it's just
yeah,
luxury.
yeah. Exactly.
So now you've taken a little break. You're now back in the action with wholesale. What's your work-life balance like? Right, like, do you have a way to switch off? Like, what's it looking like? Do you work all day? You said you used to work 10 hours a day.
Yeah. No, so right now the way it is, it's like I figured that if I just do 4 hours of work, 4 to 6 hours every day, then that's better than obviously me not working at all. So 4 hours is what I've been doing recently. And I don't think, like, I think about people who work 8 hours a day, and I think back to when I would do it as well. It's like, do we even need to be working 8 hours a day? Like, you actually don't need to do 8 hours of work
You're not
every day.
efficient. I don't think you're
Yeah,
as efficient.
it's not efficient. It's like you can do like 3 hours of work, like super focused, and do more than you would have in 8 hours of work. So it's like for me, 4 to 6. I aim for 4, and then sometimes I find myself going over because, like, once I get into the flow state of working, I can't stop.
Mhm.
Um, for the work-life balance, yeah, I don't think there is like a work-life balance. I think even for people that have 9 to 5s, it's like if you're thinking about your 9 to 5 outside of your work, then that's your work-life balance gone. Like if you're on Sunday stressed about Monday, then your Sunday is gone because of work-life balance. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. It's like work is a part of what you have to do every day, and that's it. Like
Well, the
for
best is when
especially,
work is your like work. It sounds bad, right? It sounds bad in the traditional sense. Like when work is your life, people say
yeah,
like that's bad. But when you really love what you're doing and it allows you to
yeah,
have the lifestyle that like you can do your work anywhere, right? If you're out somewhere and like you got an email that's like, oh man, this is important, you can pull up your phone, or if you have your laptop, you can pull that out to hash it out in 15, 20 minutes and you're back to what
exactly.
you're doing. Like when work is your life in the sense where you love what you do, you don't need work-life
Yeah,
balance.
that's what I'm
You're
saying.
living
Like
life
people,
and you're working at the same time.
yeah, people who like think they're clocking out at 5, but then they're still stressing about it. It's like the same as me having to reply to an email at 7 o'clock at night. It's like I'll reply to it and that's it. And for me, also the person I spend the most time with is my business partner. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I don't really care about work-life balance all that much. It's like my life is love the way I've lived my life recently. Like now that my those personal issues have been dealt with, I had like health issues, personal issues, like moving where we were gonna live and stuff like that, me and my family. Um, so once all that got out of the way, I'm like thinking about my life right now, and I'm just very grateful and very happy
Yeah.
with what I get to do on a daily basis. Like I go to the gym whenever I want. I go to the pool almost daily. I eat like better than I've ever eaten before. And I work, yeah, I try to do my work like from 9 to 1, or like 10 to 1, and then do a bit more to complete the 4 hours. But that's it. Then I have the rest of the day to myself. And
Yeah, and you feel less
yeah,
guilty when if you do that, right? Like in this,
yeah,
you
so
put in your
much.
work in the morning, and then you're like I put in the work, because that's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that like when we throw work-life balance out the window because we're like work is our life and we love what we do. It's then sometimes easy to go like I should always be working, and then like, it's
yeah,
balancing that of like I don't mind working all the time, but like I don't want to feel guilty because I'm not working, and putting
yeah,
those hashing like 3-4 hours in a day, certainly in the morning, is a fantastic boost. And you were talking about like once you get in that flow state, right? You get in that flow state, everything starts getting really, really focused, and you're very, very efficient. Is
yeah.
there something you do that, like, like, for me, it's I pour a nice coffee, and I put it on I sit down on my desk and I sip my coffee. That almost gets me in like now I'm
Okay.
ready to start working. Is there something
Yeah.
that you do in any way? Like for me it was coffee, but a YouTube video or anything that just alerts your brain and goes I'm ready to start working?
Mm,
Or do you
for
just
me,
sit
it's
down and you
like,
start?
yeah, I just sit down and I start, because for me, my mind is like sometimes, which is bad. I'm not always in control of like my actions. Sometimes I just lay in bed and scroll on my phone, which I've stopped now because I found this app that you can, I think that's very helpful. There's this app called like Screen Zen or something.
Okay,
It
I need this.
blocks.
What is it? What is this?
Bro, it's changed my life. Like, I'm not even kidding with you right now. I've used it. I block everything from 8 to 12, so I can't even go onto Instagram till like 12 p.m. Or like any of those apps, YouTube, anything like that until 12. So if I'm working in the morning, I literally have no other option. I have nothing to do. Like, it's either you work or go to the gym. It's like do productive things, or
Yeah,
you literally have no access to anything on
and
your
that
phone.
that the short form content is horrible, man. It
Yeah,
just
it's
hooks you,
horrible.
and
It's
it's
horrible.
everywhere now because you open YouTube and the first four things are short form, and it's so easy to get caught up in that. Certainly when you're your own boss, right?
It's called Screen Zen, like
Screens
screen,
then. All right,
yeah, ZEN.
screens then.
And it's like it
I'll put it
even
in
like
the
hides, yeah, it even hides um the apps. Like you don't even,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like out
yeah.
of sight, out of mind, like you can't even access them. Obviously, you can always like go into it and like change it, but for me, it's like really helped because I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot if I go into the setting and like revert everything that I've done just to access the
Yeah.
app.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
You're really you're thirsty for that dopamine if you're doing all that
that's
just
what I'm
to
saying. Yeah.
scroll a
So
little
it's
bit on
like,
YouTube.
and you realize like I don't need it that bad. Like I can just wait till 12, and that's it. And then I have it for the rest of the day. And ideally, yeah, I would have finished my workday by then.
So would you say these days, do you feel stressed, like business related?
A bit, because I just got back into it and I saw the like I'm looking back at everything that I've missed. So it's like I didn't stress about my business for a year and a half, and now that I'm back, it's like a week or 2 weeks that of like catching up to everything that I missed and like fixing mistakes that happened in the past or dealing with like inventory that was lost. So it's a bit of stress regarding that, but the way it's like organized now, no, I really don't stress about these things. Like it's a bit more organized what I have to take care of now, and I'll just do it. And
When you have
I'm not really
systems, right? When you
exactly, yeah,
build things to be structured and
yeah,
like tasks that might be annoying and mundane, but that are done periodically to make sure that your business is afloat, like it takes away so much stress.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
as you know, like we're buying like tens of thousands of dollars of inventory every single month. Like if you're not organized, like good luck sleeping at night, not knowing where all your
Exactly, yeah,
inventory is. Where like for me, I have my VAs like, and I check everything that he does, but like it's all organized. Like I have my buy tracker, my cash flow analysis, my prep center. Like we're going over like, okay, what didn't check in the past 2 weeks? Is it? And then we're
yeah,
checking all the order numbers and the tracking numbers. Like all those things are done like that. I can sleep with peace of mind.
exactly. One, like you said, once the structure is there, it's like there's much less to stress about. Like, yes, I have a lot of things to do recently to catch up, but I'm catching up, and it's like today was supposed to be my last day of catch up. Like I still have to do a couple of things to like catch up everything that I had missed, like inventory that was lost that I'm trying to get reimbursed and stuff like that. But other than that, no, like yeah, like you said, once it's structured, you don't really have to stress about anything. Yeah.
And so you still have one VA? Well, you and Sasha?
Oh yeah, one VA.
One
And
VA since you guys started, and what is her role? Has her role evolved at all since the beginning, or is she still a main product sourcer for you guys?
no, yeah, it's definitely changed. Like I don't even need Sasha is a not a better, but Sasha is obviously better at sourcing products than my VA. So it's like Sasha can do that, and she actually loves doing that. Like Sasha loves sourcing for products and finding products. So my VA's, well, Christine, her name is Christine. Christine's role has changed. She does like all of my organizing, bookkeeping, like organizing the purchases, copying everything and giving it to the prep center. And Be Cool, she takes care of like the cost of goods. So she inputs all of my cost of goods into Be Cool. She does my Be Cool as well if ever there's changes that need to be made or like costs that need to be updated. She tracks my shipments to make sure that there's no discrepancies, and she tells me about that, and I then tell the prep center. So yeah, her role's definitely changed. She still is looking for products though. She still sends us products every shift. But I just like for the longest time I didn't even need those products. Like there's a lot of products that she gave me that I never even used. And now that I'm doing wholesale, I'm gonna try to find a new role for her in terms of like helping me source some of the wholesale stuff.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
well, because that's manual, right? It's a lot. It's a lot more
well,
time
you can do it
intensive.
automatically, yeah, but it's just like I like to do it manual because it covers everything. Like I can't
What I've
miss
heard is that's
anything.
the best. I've heard that
Yeah,
like from Corey Ganem and all these wholesale guys is like manual is the way to go. And I think having your employee, right? We say VA, but she's your employee at the end of the day. Doing
yeah.
that manually is going to help you for sure. Did you have plans to expand? I don't know. It's been 3 years since you've been selling on Amazon. You have one. Are you comfortable with one? Is that something that you want to stay with, or you are entertaining the thought of having more staff on board?
Oh no, I don't need. I'm even like the conversations I'm having is even like I don't even need Christine
Yeah.
all that much for certain things. So it's like, no, I don't need more employees at all. I have Sasha. Maybe if like me and Sasha something were to happen with
Yeah.
that, then I would maybe. But even at that, I think me and Christine was just fine, like on its
Yeah.
own. Especially into wholesale, like I said, like if I can pop up every now and again and just make a big purchase, and have several accounts like that, then yeah, there's not much more use for other
Yeah.
employees, to be honest.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm just addicted to delegating, man. I love to
Yeah,
delegate everything. I
yeah,
made a
yeah.
tweet about it this morning. Like,
I
I
saw
think
that. I
that
saw.
you can have them literally do everything. Like for me, like my emails, like my personal emails are sorted out, and it's like when something I need to read, it's like, oh, I get a message. Hey, you got an
Yeah,
important email, and like all order cancels are taken care of. Like but I don't have that many. Right? I got two, and these two can last me for a
that's what
very,
I'm
very,
saying.
very long
Like,
time.
yeah.
Uh, one even does well. Is going to start to. I'm mainly having him learn the Canadian marketplace. It's my second VA onboarded, and he is going to be taking care of some of my personal brand, right? Like editing videos and stuff.
Mm,
So like that's where I'm kind of moving on. So I have one employee doing a little bit of both businesses, and then I have one of my head of operations who's been with me since January. He's the one who does the purchasing, and that
okay.
was a big step for me, like
Well,
allowing
yeah,
someone
so
to
I
purchase.
want you to explain the purchasing thing because for me, like I said, I had troubles with like even the thought. I never even tried to hire someone for purchasing. I just the thought of it
Yeah.
didn't like work in my mind.
So
So like, how did you even do that?
So my thought process, okay, was one, I'm a pretty good people person in the sense where I'm able to build relationships and I know an honest person when I speak to one, certainly
Mm,
over a long period of time. And this I probably would have never hired a purchasing manager. If to become a purchasing manager for me, you would need to be promoted, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
need to have that trust in you. And my first VA Wilmer is an absolute G. Like he from the beginning has helped me so much. He's a very good product sourcer. He has attention to detail. He has that OCD trait, right, where like everything
mm,
needs to be perfect, and I love that about him. And that being said, the fact that he was so meticulous with everything,
mm.
and I started getting a little bit bored of buying because like trying to
Okay,
build
yeah.
like like websites like iHerb where there's a $140 limit. It's like I gotta
Mm.
build create 10 new email addresses. Not in
Yeah.
the mood of that. So I was like, and I think I'm going to take the next step and increase his salary and then give him more responsibilities. So I talked to him about it. I felt like how comfortable he was, and at the same time I was kind of reading the way like his language was, how if he was someone that was like surprised or confident, and he looked like up for the role. And ultimately, again, my thought process was, look, why don't, like, when I was a director, right, of the SEQ of a multi-billion-dollar company, and I had a lot of control, why didn't I screw the company over and steal? Right, I would deposit thousands of dollars to guard and all that. I could easily have sold, and I never did once.
No, so my when I say trust, it's not like I'm worried that she's gonna steal or buy something for her or like on my credit card. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like I don't know if I trust their actual purchasing decisions. Like, do you tell them what to
Oh,
purchase? Like,
okay.
do they restock for you or do they find and buy new
So
products
okay.
for you?
So they Wilmer basically doesn't make decisions yet, right?
Okay, okay, that's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. No, does not make decisions yet. I can't. He's getting very, very good, but he's not at the point where like we're at the same level, right? We've been working
for
together now
sure.
for 9 months.
Mm.
Maybe in year two, maybe like I'll have that confidence, but that will be very far away. So
Okay,
my
okay,
my
okay.
my workflow when it comes to Amazon, at least, is he will do a portion of his day is obviously buying everything that I tell him to buy, but that comes a little later. So he wakes up to that, he sources. I have my second VA who's also a full-time sourcer. They're both
Hmm.
40 hours a week, and they find a bunch of leads for me. I will then wake up right after their day. I will have the database leads. I will go over everything. I will make Loom videos for the things that I think were not good and why. So we need to watch out for that. And then I will basically tell them, yes, this was good lead. I want you to buy this many. Don't forget the
Okay,
cash
okay.
back, right? So I build a list of everything that he's got to buy. And honestly, that will take me maximum, like on a big list, it will make me like max 30 minutes to an hour, right? And I
Okay.
have all that. Then uh, I really like to do replens. That's something I enjoy, right? So, but I won't buy them. So I'll go into my seller board. I'll see what I need to replen, and I
So
will
you'll
also
send them a
tell him.
list, basically.
I'll send him. Yeah, I basically send him a list, and I'll have notes. Right, for my replens, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, last time we got it at this price. Can you try to get it at a better price?"
Okay, okay,
And
okay.
then like he'll go off, and like he's a machine with keep a product finding and stuff like that. So
Mm,
basically, my day is really wake up to a bunch of leads, like I would normally do
yeah,
before. But instead of me now analyzing all the leads, then going on to the next step, which is, well, purchasing all the leads,
buying.
which
Yeah.
sometimes can take a lot of time. Now all I do is analyze and copy paste the data into another sheet, and then that's just done. And then I oversee. I'll take like half an hour to oversee like the last weeks of like admin tasks, right? Because my buy sheet is all done by him. My seller board, I use the cash flow tool to make sure that like I know at all times how much cash I have on hand. I
Mhm.
make sure that that's done right, and then Prep Center, I make sure everything's good. So I do like one checkup a week, and the whole business kind of runs itself.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, that's what I was
Obviously,
wondering.
one day maybe, but like right now it's hard to let go of purchasing decisions just because like no one knows people better than yourself.
Yeah,
And I think ultimately, to if you want this business to be completely like 100% like automated and everything, you do need to end up trusting someone like that, but it takes a lot of
yeah,
time. It takes a lot of
exactly.
time
Yeah.
because like you said, it's not about trusting the person, is honesty. It's about trusting their decision
Yeah, yeah,
making.
yeah. It's not like I wouldn't give my card. Well, do you first of all do you give the card numbers to the person or is there like LastPass that you can
I use
share the
LastPass, but
Okay,
if I'm
okay.
not mistaken, he can see the number. I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
sure,
yeah, yeah. It's like
but
I
I still trust him with my number because
yeah.
at the end of the day, like the example of me working in my 9 to 5, like why didn't I steal? Because I knew I was in a good position with good benefits and everything. He's
Hmm.
making a better salary than most people in Canada. Like
Yeah,
obviously
for them, yeah.
for them. So like why would he leave that job for like the minute he spends something in the Philippines, like he's gonna get screwed, like American Express. Like I checked
Yeah,
my
yeah,
account,
yeah.
so, and I know he wouldn't do that. So that honesty aspect, I think, was pretty easy after 6-7 months of
Yeah.
working together, and like the rest is history. And like that's what there's different paths to Amazon, right? Like you can go like having no VA at all. there's some people that do no prep center. I think they're crazy, but you can do no prep
Yeah,
center.
yeah, yeah,
Like for me, it was, let me make this automated and make less revenue in the short term. And when I say short term, it's 1 to 3 years, right?
yeah,
So and now it's like, okay, like all my base fundamentals is ready. Like all now what we need to do is spend more. And that's what was the decision of hiring my second VA. It
yeah,
was, obviously, if my first VA is now doing all the purchasing and all my admin, and he just has less time to find products, let me bring in a full-time product sourcer to tag team with him. So obviously my
okay,
expenses are higher. I have a smaller margin, but like
yeah.
how many people, like
But
if
your
I
time
want to
is,
go exactly screw off and do jujitsu for and I'm gone for 4 hours of the day,
yeah,
my business is still gonna run, right?
yeah, for
So
sure. No,
that
it's
was
interesting
my
to see how everyone like splits their or what they make their VAs do as well. Like,
yeah. I think there's
yeah,
different ways, and everyone can. I don't like people saying like, oh, like you need to focus on as much margin as possible. Don't take a prep. Like, man, there's everyone. It's about, yes, making money, but it's about building a lifestyle that you
it's
want.
about your priorities. Like for me, I prioritize my time more than my money. So for me, it's not even a decision to get a prep center or to get a VA or how much to pay them. It's like if you're gonna save my time and let me do other things, then yeah, I'll pay. Like I don't care.
Exactly. All
Yeah,
right, so let's end this off with a couple questions. I have a couple questions left. I think they're going to be interesting. First
yeah.
one is, if there was, like, from the beginning, right? So you've had 3 years. You can split this how you want, but if your business has gone through 3 chapters, okay, what would they each be about?
3 chapters. I think. Well, the beginning is like obsession. So it's like when I was obsessed building it, growing it to over 100,000 in sales. That was like my first big milestone. So I think that was chapter one. Then chapter two is where I kind of fucked off a bit. And well, everything happened with me in my personal life. So I just kind of like lost focus, but was still at a place that was blessed because it was able to run without me even having to do anything at all. I was not involved. And I don't say that proudly in terms of, I'm not proud that I didn't work for this second part or for the second chapter. Um, it's just like it happened, and that's how I chose to deal with things. And I learned from it because now I know in the future, like if anything goes wrong in my life, I can't fully like I can't just ignore my business. Even though I did it and the money was still coming in, it just wasn't a good feeling. I felt like I didn't know what my purpose was anymore. I didn't know what to do with my time. I was trying different things and like I never found during that period something that I could stick to more than I've stuck with Amazon. Like for me now, Amazon is a thing that's like it's with me for. I don't see myself stopping it now that I've gone through this period of like so much uncertainty and that I'm back at it, loving it again. It's like I don't see myself ever stopping Amazon or like selling online because it's like that's what I do now,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like it just gonna stay with me. And I think that's what you need. You need to realize like it's well, depending on what you want to do with your life. Um, like you said, you have to commit for at least 1 year. I had done that, and then after that 1 year, I was like, okay, what do I do now? Because I had done my what I wanted to do. Um, but if you can realize that it's gonna stay with you, or if at least if that's what you want, like for me, it's like kind of like people that make music or stuff like that. It's like they're gonna do that for the rest of their lives, whether it works or not. It's like that. This is it. This is what I'm good at, and this is what I can do properly, and it makes money, and it just like it's also like you said, it's helped other people, and I've been helped by people in these types of positions. So it's just a very nice place to be. So for me now, chapter three is just going to be um, picking up from where I left off, but just taking it to a whole other place of security where it's like less stress if I'm not there. Um, Easier purchases. Like I said, like for me, if I can come in on one day and spend whatever that number, 50, 100K, if I can just spend that in one sitting, that's where I want to be. Like I was telling Sasha, like, yes, you work a lot more than me in terms of like she was working every day, spending $1,000, $2,000, $1,000 every day. I'm like, yes, that's sick. But also what's sick is like just coming in on one day, spending a big amount, and not having to do that all the time. So that's what I want to get to, and just growing it. And yeah, hopefully I can do what I said in the very beginning, which is become one of the biggest stores in Canada, which I think is very, it's like, it sounds crazy, but it's when you know what's happening in Amazon.ca, it's very
Mhm.
realistic. Like all of us can have those big stores in a couple of years, and hopefully, yeah, just be able to have like a big store that just is going to stay there, and that Amazon won't really like mess with you and stuff like that. Because let's say you have a lot of reviews, you have a lot of sales history with them, and you don't really do anything wrong. Like my account is very healthy still. I'm sure yours is as well. So I think we can definitely do that if that's like that was my goal when I started, and I think it's definitely doable.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Last question. And I think a lot of people are, hopefully you stay to the end for this, because I think this is going to be one of the bigger questions for newer sellers. I think most new sellers inside their first month, like between month 1 and month 3, go through the growing pains of sourcing and feel like sourcing is so hard
Yeah. Yeah.
when we're buying $30,000-$40,000 worth of inventory every month. What do you tell that person who right now is saying, I feel like this is impossible? How are they doing it?
If you
Not an
feel
easy
like
question.
it, if you feel like it's impossible, but other people are doing it, then you're doing something wrong. And you're doing something very wrong, especially if you're saying it's impossible, because you're wrong. It's possible. Like if people are doing it. So you either don't have enough information, you need to learn more, you need to watch YouTube videos, you need to get a coach, you need to buy a course. Either of those three, um, just do something to increase your knowledge, because it's not impossible. It's possible. I don't know how many people you see on a day-to-day basis. Like my Twitter is filled with people making sales on Amazon, and I never think to myself like, oh, that's fake. Like I know what it takes to do that. I know I've never faked any numbers. So it's like when I see someone's numbers, unless they look like edited in some way,
Yeah.
like I think everyone's just telling the truth online. So when it comes to those things, I know some people don't, and they post edited things and stuff like that, but for me it's like I like to see other people hitting these big numbers, and they're doing it. So if someone is doing it, then you're just doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think a
So
lot of people expect it to be a lot easier, and then when they hit those roadblocks, instead of learning more, right? Using YouTube
yeah.
as that free education university that it is, and like every single subject. This goes for like anything that you hit roadblocks for, but like specifically Amazon. If every like most people are doing it and doing it very very well to our like, at the volume that we're doing it, well, it's got to be possible, and you got to just figure out what are you missing, what's in your tool belt that's missing to get you to that place. And yes,
Yeah.
obviously I'm biased, right, as a coach, but I think a coach can definitely help you at that. But even at that, what I tell most people coming across my desk is like, I'm probably not going to make you the best sourcer in the world. Why? Is because sourcing takes time. You got to start understanding brands. You got to start understanding what sells well on Amazon. Like I could almost go into a beauty store like Sephora, or like go into a Walmart. This is a perfect example, and be like, yeah, this is a good price. This is a bad price. I'm not even talking about Amazon. I'm talking about compared to other stores. I know what's a
Mm.
good price and what's a bad price. That takes
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah,
And
for
like
sure.
that's an equation. That's a part of the formula that often people forget, is like people doing these numbers like that you're doing, like I'm doing. Like it's been a long time we've been doing it, and like
Hmm.
take it one step at a time. Don't expect to find 20, 30 products in a week. Start with five ASINs like that. You're gonna start building that foundation, and then eventually you're getting to the point where now you're buying $1,000 days. But
Yeah.
as you said, it's possible because so many people are doing it. And every single listing that Amazon is not on, a third party seller is getting that for a profitable price
Yeah.
somehow. Whether it be wholesale or it be PL, like someone is selling it for money, and you just need to be able to figure out how to do it too.
Yeah, just one last thing. Like at the beginning, it's hard. Like I'm helping one of my friends right now learn Amazon, and I'm putting myself in his shoes, and it is a lot. Like when I look back at it, we did do a lot of work. Like me, you,
Yeah.
anyone that does this. That's why when you start doing it and actually start seeing sales, and you see other people with these big numbers, you can't help but like respect. them, because you know, okay, what I'm doing, like how much work I'm putting for them to get to that level. And yeah, for me, I automatically have respect for people with like big numbers, because I know how much work this really takes. And it's no joke. Like it's super, super, it's not, it's like, it's super hard. It's simple what you have to do. So that's a bit hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
what
it's
you
a
have to
simple
do is
business model,
simple,
but it's hard.
but it's like hard. And like I'm looking at my friend and I'm like, even me, I question myself sometimes. Like if I were to start again today, would I even be able to do this again?
Not
Like I
easy,
think
man. Not
it's
easy.
not easy. Like I think in COVID, when I started, it was like the perfect time for me, even mentally. Like I was fully focused on this one thing, and that's it. But like if you're not fully focused on it, then it's super hard. I'm looking at my friend struggle, and like he sends me a lot of products, and I'm like, no, no, don't buy this, don't buy this, don't buy this, don't buy this. And like, would I have even been able to take all those no's back to back to back? I don't even know.
It
So
comes back to being obsessed, right? If you're obsessed with
exactly,
it,
yeah,
and like that's almost like reverse psychology way, like that's almost why it's a good idea sometimes to pay for a coach, because like you're then invested, and like
yeah.
you're kind of forced to keep at it until you succeed, and because that's what you need. You need to keep at it, and then you will
I think
succeed.
I think before you even like pay for anything, or like everyone is different. You should know your strength, and you should know yourself and how you learn. If you've been, if you look back at your life and you look, okay, I was good in school, I knew how to study by myself, I can learn by myself, I'm very good at learning, I can sit down and like learn something. You don't have to buy a coach. Like you can just learn for free like I did. If you're someone that's always like needed help, or like you had tutors and stuff like that in school, and like it's just easier, yeah, just pay someone to help you like speed up the learning curve. But paying someone doesn't necessarily mean like you're going to win. Like you still have to go and do what that person tells you.
Yeah,
And I'm sure you've
100%.
seen this as a coach yourself. Like you know, it works for some people and it doesn't work for others. And then at the like, so your job as a coach is like to make it work for them, but also you can't really force anything.
Oh
Like they
yeah.
have to
I
know
tweeted about
themselves.
it. I tweeted about it
Yeah,
today. Like all the content's out there for free. Like
it's all free. Yeah, I
you
learned
don't
for
need to
free
pay for a coach.
at
You
all.
really
It's just
don't.
like
And
you
I
have to know yourself. Some people aren't patient enough to learn on their own. Uh, yeah, even me, I don't even know how I learned on my. I was like I said, I keep saying it. I was obsessed, so I was kind of out of my mind. That if I look back at it during that period of time, now that I'm a bit more like mentally there again, it's like how did I even learn everything on my own and like do all of this? Um, so yeah, it's like you have to know yourself and
yeah, man.
know how you're best able to learn, basically.
Well, look, here's to your success. I hope that you hit seven figures in a 12-month span soon. Hopefully, this Q4.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
both have a fantastic numbers. I'm expecting great things. We're ramping up buying on my end. I'm sure you are too. Before we end this off, is there anything you would like to tell the audience? Either plug your Twitter, your Instagram, or I know you said you weren't coaching. If you offer another
Mm.
service, floor is
Yeah.
yours.
Well, I changed my name recently to Flip with Chris because I didn't want my last name to be in my name anymore. So Flip with Chris is the new @ on IG and Twitter. And yeah, we have our course. Me and Sasha, we sell this course. I think it was 299 for how to start selling online. Like that's the course that you bought and that has
Yep.
helped you. Like there's no better person for me to have this conversation with than you, because I've told you this before. You're probably the best student we've ever had. And that's not just me saying this to you. Like you have the most results, or maybe it's not even, you're not, you might not even be the best, but you're the one that has shown us that you are the best by telling us and posting and starting
Think
new
it
Twitter
goes back
pages
to
and stuff.
obsession, right? We share that trait, and I think that
Yeah.
is the most important trait.
Yeah, and we also knew with you, by the way, when we did our other podcast, we knew like we ended the call and we were like, "Kid, this guy is just gonna do it," because like you can tell with some people, it's like not even hard to tell.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the coaching, I don't even know, because right now I'm learning. I'm in the process of learning wholesale, so I'm not ready to teach
All
anyone
right.
how to do
So
that yet.
you're Flip with Chris on Instagram, on Twitter, and
Yeah,
if they're
exactly.
interested, they can go buy a
Yeah,
course
just
that has everything in videos for them.
yeah, exactly. DM us, DM me, Sasha Teed, if you need anything, and DMs are always open.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys like this episode and stay tuned for next week. Thank you again, Chris, for this fantastic episode too. I think there was a lot of value coming out of this. So peace. All right. Thank you, man.
Of course, bro.